Hello, and welcome to an interview with Dr. Anah. And it is my distinct honor today to welcome Dr. Sherritta Hughes. Dr. Hughes is awesome. Hi, Dr. Hughes, and welcome to this interview. How are you feeling and how are you doing today?
Let's see. I'm feeling pretty good.
Good.
And I am well.
Yeah,
I don't have any complaints.
good.
It would do any good anyway, but
Yeah.
I'm working it out. Day by day, sometimes hour by hour. I'm working from home right now, so that's just what it calls for. So excuse me, adjust it is like the biggest thing.
Yeah. How's the COVID been in terms of working and your clientele? Have you seen an increase in clients?
Yes, an
Since
increase
COVID?
in clients. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Okay. And are you adjusting accordingly, or has it been difficult
Yeah,
to juggle?
at the beginning, it was probably tougher. And the beginning, like last March, we're
Yeah.
already going to be, we're in like the 10th month right
Yeah.
now. So, at the beginning, like, so last March, March 13th was our last day at school, last day at practice,
Mhm.
last day in the world, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
But I had people calling in because their loved ones were dying.
Oh gosh.
So we had that, and a friend of mine opened up free virtual just drop-ins for people. And we had more calls than people dropping in, but we had like a couple of people that were like regulars for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And they just was like, I just lost my son, I just lost my mom. And it was younger people, older people. It was just diverse, like, across like a whole spectrum.
Wow, wow, wow. And just you talking about that, I'm thinking the mental health ramifications for COVID is
Hmm.
probably going to be with us for a very long time, you know?
Oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely. Yeah. So I guess during this time, I was president of NJCA, so
yeah,
immediate president, immediate past president.
yeah.
And so because we had to stop meeting in person, I just opened up a Friday counseling,
Yeah.
and we're literally still meeting. We
Oh
meet every
gosh.
Friday at 5 o'clock, and it's for anybody, and we just talk about our week. And it's all counselors in some context, whether it be a counselor educator,
Okay.
therapist, group, private practice, associate,
Okay.
fully licensed. Yeah. And
Okay. And it's
it's
every, you said
been
it's every Friday?
every Friday at
Every
5.
Friday.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
We skip the holidays,
Yeah.
obviously, but we have actually good. And I didn't know these people, and we know each other. From New York, Maryland, some
Mhm.
people, Florida, primarily New Jersey, because it was just for New Jersey. But
Mhm.
I was like, hey, just anyone, come on through. So
Yeah. Yeah. And
been
that's a
nice.
good thing for the listeners to hear that there is support. And you are definitely giving that out on
Yeah,
Friday. What time on Fridays?
5.
5. Okay. Okay.
Mhm.
That's great. Okay, so today I wanted to really talk about sort of your journey in getting your PhD. I know that a lot of people have sort of their own unique journeys.
Mhm.
I know I have my very weird journey. um, but in terms of yours, did you always think that you would get a PhD, or did that come to you later on?
I did.
You did? Okay.
I did.
Yeah.
When I didn't know, I
Yeah.
didn't think of anything. I didn't think of, like you were saying, I didn't think of process. I didn't think of
Mhm.
do it. I didn't think about when I was going to do it.
Mhm.
And I didn't know either.
Yeah.
It wasn't that I was just not thinking about it. It
Yeah.
just was in my mind. I knew my end goal pretty
Yeah.
much. And I at most, it wasn't intentional, but I just let life do it for me.
Yeah.
I was just experiencing, and I guess across my like stages or courses,
Mhm.
it just kept coming to a point of, okay, do this,
Mhm.
now do this. So a little contextual too. So depending on whatever context told me what I needed to do in that
Yeah.
time, I did it.
Yeah. So for you, it was a natural progression, should I say?
Um, I don't know if natural, I'm thinking, I would use the word more organic only because it felt natural, right?
Okay.
And it was kind of unfolded in that way.
Okay.
Not because I feel like sometimes those are interchangeably, but I think
Yeah.
they're used in like in the same conceptual like
Sure.
understanding for me.
Sure.
So yeah. I mean, I didn't necessarily have anyone like mentoring me or anything like
Mm-hmm.
that, but I was just talking to some people the other day, and there was like it wasn't that I didn't have a specific mentor, but life was mentoring me, and certain people along my journey, they
Yeah.
were mentors, whether it was the woman that was housekeeping at a job where I worked, you know what I mean? And she was engaging me in just conversation and getting to know me and giving me encouragement. You know, that's what I needed at that time, at
Yeah.
that, you know, particular
Yeah.
place. I was a lifeguard, you know, in school, and she was the person who was cleaning up, you know, the place at the facility. I was a therapeutic lifeguard, and we sat and talked, you know, and it was just that helped at that time. And she's like, you got to keep going, you know, and blah, blah, blah. But yeah, it's like little things like that I consider now looking back that
Yeah.
those were important moments by places where you wouldn't necessarily consider. She wasn't writing a book.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wasn't a scholar. You know, I think she was from New Orleans and maybe had like junior high school, part of high school, you know, but she was the best thing at that moment talking to me.
Isn't that amazing that, it takes all sorts of people
Yeah.
that are able to support you no matter, where they come from, what walks of life they come from.
Yeah.
And their supports are very valid, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and that's really interesting. I hadn't heard that, type of support
Yeah.
before. Yeah.
Oh yeah. You
Yeah.
don't because it's the
Sherritta, your
messengers, you
phone's
know.
blowing up. Is
Oh,
that you?
you heard it. I know. I just clicked. I'm sorry. I
It's okay.
apologize. It's
That's
Monday.
okay.
It's Monday. Okay.
I know, and I'm so thankful that you were able to do this, and I know
No,
you're super
that's
super
okay.
busy. Yeah, so thank you.
No,
Um,
you're
yeah.
welcome. It's a pleasure.
So in terms of obstacles, I'm sure, being a Black woman, you know, I'm sure there's been some obstacles. I always think about the Malcolm X quote where it says the most disrespected person is the Black woman, you know.
Mm.
And also, just, lately with the Wall Street Journal article, and I forget the guy's name. I think his name is Rubenstein,
Mm-hmm.
who talked about Jill Biden and how dare she, be a doctor, call herself a doctor when she was not an actual, medical doctor.
Mm-hmm.
So there's been a lot of, stuff in the ether in terms of, doctors.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wanted to find out from you, first of all, what were your obstacles getting your PhD? Did you get it? Were you subject to any racial microaggressions, any systemic racism? Um, what was that like, and how did you work with that? How did you cope with that?
Hmm.
It's a loaded question,
It
but
is. It
but
is. It's more than one at the same time.
yeah, okay.
I would say barriers maybe came up where I didn't. I wish sometimes just kind of looking back that I had people directing me. Like I consider myself a late educational bloomer
Mm,
relative to like when I
mhm,
got it.
mhm,
I took time after each degree and I worked. It wasn't because I just took time and that was, oh, my purpose and my goal. I'm going to take time and then go back to school. I'm going to take time and then do this. And it wasn't that my time that was taken was to work.
mhm,
I needed to.
mhm, mhm, mhm.
So, I after like my bachelor's degree, I worked in the field. I worked in mental health at a and it was like a place, inpatient, partial care. It was a school setting for children that had, well, high school, that had some type of diagnosis. They had been put out of school for some type of mental or behavioral issue.
Mm-hmm.
And then, you know, I'm working and I'm really glad to have the job, college, and I'm like, yes, no time.
Money. Yeah.
Or just doing what you thought you would do.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what? It is a little bit of what I thought I would do, but it's not all of it because I still wasn't feeling complete enough.
Yeah.
So I would see the kids have these appointments in these offices with other staff, you know, like coworkers, but they were at the level. And I'm like, well, what did they do?
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, well, we're the therapists. We work with them individually. I'm in the classroom doing behavioral modification and management pretty much. And I'm like, this isn't really it. I think it's a little bit more of what they're doing. Mm-hmm. So I went to my supervisor at that job and I was like, well, what do I have to do to get to that position? Mm-hmm. You got to have a master's degree and a license to practice. So I was like, I don't know necessarily what that all entails, but I just did my homework. I went home. I probably was at that location for maybe a year and a half, and I applied to graduate school. I applied to one, and I got in.
Nice.
I didn't know I was getting in. I moved to the state, the city and the state where it was, and I moved in with a family member, my uncle and his wife, and I was like, I think I'm going to be going to this school that's in town.
I think.
I didn't get my letter yet, but I just felt like this is it. This is and so, and I was like, they probably should have been filled something out. It sent me a letter. They said yes, I can move in. I called the school and they were like, yeah, you should be registering right now. You did get in. And I was like, so I wasn't mad at them not telling me, but guess what?
That's strange.
Yeah, and that was like 2002. You know, so I did that. I got the master's in, you know, clinical psych though. So, right. It wasn't necessarily counseling, but it was a licensure track.
Yeah.
Be prepared to take the NCE. Right. Mm-hmm. And so it's just like, oh, okay, this is what I'll do. Mm-hmm. So did it. Yeah. And then after that, I was trying to come back home to New Jersey. I was in Alabama. Hurricane Katrina hit. That was 2005. I remember it's like August 25th, 2005. You remember that date.
Oh my goodness.
So I didn't come home and I stayed. So I stayed and I got work. I was actually part-timing it as a lifeguard. Again, lifeguarding has always been my undercurrent of money. Mm-hmm. So, I was working also at a hotel and I was looking in the newspaper. Yes, people still were reading the newspaper. There was
not
this
so much now. Yeah.
There's a hotline number for people to call for help. Mm-hmm. And I was calling because I wanted to help. Mm-hmm. Called and I got that job that day and I left that hotel. I still did the lifeguarding, but I left that hotel working. It was a Ramada. I didn't know even what I was doing anyway. And then so I got a job working with FEMA and you know, doing like crisis counseling. And so I had a supervisor. She locked me in. I paid her outside. I didn't get a supervisor at my job, which I thought was really great anyway, because it was a go-to and it wasn't where it was like I could break away from what I was doing and wouldn't have to look at that overlap. Mm-hmm. And the supervision, where I think that would to me be a kind of a limitation. I actually talk about that now in class to students. You know, if you can do it, you know, do it.
Yeah.
But so after that, and then I end up just working for the next several years to get the license and then practicing.
Yeah.
So still not in the doctoral program at all. That it was on my radar, but I didn't know when. I just was coming.
Yeah.
Time and context wasn't appropriate at that moment, right?
Yeah, definitely. So and so when was the moment appropriate? You said you were working for 7 years. Yeah.
The moment was appropriate when so I was done in Alabama, right? So I moved home. I was like, I want to make more money, but I also want to do more of what I went to school for.
Yeah.
So I started working for a partial care program. We're coming out of the hospital and down, like leveling down the treatment to get integrated back into their community. So, and I was also teaching. Because I started like community college teaching. And that was my whole motive for getting a doctoral degree anyway. I wanted to teach. I knew I always wanted to teach, but how to do it at the university level, to seek tenure, something to that.
Yeah.
So I was working at Rutgers. I was working at Monmouth. So at Rutgers was the partial care program. So it was a part of the medical school. And then so teaching was just a part-time like adjunct at Monmouth University.
Okay.
My I guess my direct lead, she's like, you can't go any further. You can only be an adjunct with a master's. You can't teach. This is it for you. And well, that's where my barriers started to come up.
Yeah.
Because of I was always the only African-American person in the space. I was consistently in white spaces, and it wasn't that it was uncomfortable because that's usually how it is anyway.
Yeah.
But it was uncomfortable to the point where they were letting me know it. And the students were refusing to call me Miss Hughes. I wasn't Dr. Hughes. They were like, you're probably just as old as we are. And I actually wasn't. I'm, early 30s or, somewhere. They were in their 20s, maybe even, early 20s.
Yeah.
And I don't think age really matters. I'm just in this position because this is what I went to school for.
Yeah.
And I have some information for you. And, this is the career that I'm in, at least a part of the career, and my mental health work or the discipline. And it was awful. Even students one of them hugged me after one of the semesters. And she's like, I am so sorry that you went through that, and I'm like, well, since you noticed, why didn't you say anything?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And so, it was awful. They were calling me out of my name. It was
serious. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And so
these were college level.
These were
graduate school, right?
And like a 5th year type program.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Old enough to know.
It was bad.
Wow.
Nervous. It was nervous wrecking. And I was just like, okay, I have to do this. So when the I think it was the chair of the program who was my direct lead, she's like, well, what you need to do, and which is a mentoring moment pretty much if you look back, but what you need to do is you gotta get your doctorate. And I met her. She actually hired me when we were out in California at ACA. At ACA, and that was my first ACA, I think back in 2012. I met people from New Jersey and California. And I went to this person's workshop, and we started talking at the end, and I'm like, oh, you're from Jersey? I am too. I was just like, it's so weird. And she's like, if you're looking for work, because after, I guess, we talked in the content of our discussion and whatnot, just like, come see me at Monmouth.
Okay.
So after that kind of course just kind of ran its route, I came out of her office and there was a poster literally up for the Chicago School of Professional Psych. And I was like, I'm going there. I didn't know. I'm just like, I'm going to go there. I applied to the program and I got in.
Oh, wow.
And I only applied to one program.
That's amazing. And it's so interesting, like, through your journey, I see links where you say, I'm going to apply to that because that's where I'm going to go, kind of thing. You seem to know exactly what your fit is. And that's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It was like the order.
Yeah.
I always kind of refer to this, but please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. It's like a math equation, right? You have to do it in order. If you could do it, and if you jump around, even though you feel like you have the right answer, it's still wrong because you went in the wrong order.
Yeah.
Right. So it might seem right to you, but it's not the right order. So I felt like my life is ordered in that way. So when I have that vision, I just put it out there. Yeah.
What was your dissertation?
So I always knew wellness because I wanted to put together the fitness ideas and working in rec centers and swimming with mental health care. I wanted to see how I could make that integration and kind of almost to kind of, I don't know, create a confluence, like two streams just coming together to make one, and you can't even tell where the difference is. So I was like, how will I do that? And so I started looking up ideas, and it was wellness. Wellness really does it, So, excuse me, I had started to study wellness before I went into the program, but now I was actually able to put things on paper.
Concepts together, yeah.
And looking at my career, like Savicus says, where is he at? Kent State, career counseling, right? What's my purpose? What am I supposed to do? What you've been doing all your life, right? So if you can go back and just start calculating what you've been doing all your life and start to see it kind of shape wellness, but who was it for? The people that I usually feel like I'm making, I don't know, like real moments with in regard to the help were just everyday African Americans just showing up to the gym, or just on the treadmill and I'm helping them, or in the pool teaching swimming, things like that. And they would always bring up, well, I wish I could do this. I wish I could do that, some kind of psychological type thing. And they're like, oh, what are you in school for? And we would start talking about that. And then, when people know what you're in school for, they kind of tap into that area, and it's almost like this realm they want to go in with you. Yeah. So people would start talking about, mental stuff, or, grandma being in the back room and that one cousin we just stay away from. Things like that. Or, I got one time I had a nervous breakdown, all those kinds of things. And so it's like, so that dissertation really roundabout really was just wellness in the African American community among an adult population.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I imagine it worked to break down some of the stigmas associated with, mental illness and the Black community. That we're still struggling with that even today,
You're right. Because the wellness is strength-based, affirmative. So we're not talking about disease per se, but what can you actually do that's well in your everyday functioning in all the different contexts of your life, or the multidimensional areas, that you function within.
Yeah. That's wonderful. Wow. That's great. How long does it take you to finish the dissertation? Was it a really long process for you, or did you?
No, I guess because I did, like I said, I came in with my ideas already pretty much set. I had been licensed already. I was practicing. So from 2013, and I when did 2016 I graduated. Not graduated, I defended. And then 2017 I walked. Already working. I got hired. I was at a conference, and they were I went to look around, and tables and things like that, marketing tables, and there was one school.
The ACA conference?
No. The New Jersey Counseling Association. I traveled up from DC to New Jersey to see two people in my cohort present at their first conference, and they were both in my cohort at the Chicago school. But as I was like, I wanted to support them, so I traveled up. And on the day that I was actually president, was I president at that time, of MAMCD, so Cultural Division for Maryland's Counseling Association. I was like, I'm in the middle of a conference, but I want to just get up there. So I got on Amtrak. I got up there to see them and stay for the day. And then I had to get back for the next day because that was going to be just more stuff with the conference that I'm over. But during that time, that one day that I was at the New Jersey conference, the counseling conference, I met this guy, Dr. Ponton, and Dr. Spring. They were presenting and they were representing a school called Georgian Court. Had never heard of Georgian Court.
Wow.
It's in New Jersey. And they were like, I'd like to really talk to you. Do you have time tomorrow? I was like, I actually don't, but I'm only here today.
Okay.
And I was like, you know what? I'm going to be looking for a job, so I don't want to miss this moment. Yes. And I will be back.
Yeah.
I took the train back to DC, did the MAMCD, and then got on the train and went back to meet this person. Because in New Jersey, it's a 3-day conference.
Okay.
Maryland, it was only, like a 1 day.
Yeah.
1 or 2 days.
It's 2 days.
Yeah. Something like that. So I did that and I went back and they were like, well, this is where we're going to actually like legitimate say we're going to be recruiting you right now.
Okay.
And I was just like, wow, okay. So when can we start getting together? They invited me to the school. They did everything and they were like, you're hired. It was really
wow.
And that was in 2016. That was actually before I graduated. So
wow.
Adjunct work at the Chicago school just because I was adopted. It wasn't much more than that, but great opportunity nonetheless. So working in the forensic psych department, it was really nice. Dr. Tobias, he's awesome. There and then going back and forth to New Jersey like 3 days a week.
Oh God.
I was dual residency for a while. No one really knew that though.
That's a lot.
I know, but I was hustling, and then my grandmother passed and I was living with her. What am I going to do? I wanted to quit everything.
I'm sure.
Yeah. But I had to keep going.
Yeah. Where'd you get the strength to do that?
Honestly, I mean, I'm a believer in God, so higher power, however, whatever people want to call it, but I call God. I'm not he or she. I don't believe putting God in a box. God's bigger than that for me. And it was just elements. I lived in downtown DC. I rented it in one of the new high rise down there. It was really interesting. I was like, look, I'm an educator. I'm low income. They let me stay there, and it was awesome. I'm like in this new building. They were like, we need your security deposit today, though.
Oh gosh.
I was like, I only have
our money.
Exactly. I have $100 for the month. I was not even.
Oh gosh.
I gave them that $100. I did.
Wow.
And yeah, because I moved in there and like 2014. Yeah, something like that. So I was like, this won't be forever. I'm taking the bus. I had to walk most days because I didn't even have money to get on a bus or train. So I'm like, at some days, I'll be honest with you, I was picking up change to like, okay, I got some change. It's cold out here or it's extremely hot. Because DC is just hot sometimes, but that was, it was just like, I need like 15 more cents. And I was like, could you please just let me go? They would be like, come on, get on the bus.
Yeah.
I learned the buses. People are like, oh, I take the train, but like, I'm getting on the bus. I'm going to look and see that number bus and it can take me to the school.
Yeah.
Days when I was just too exhausted to walk. But yeah, did Chipotle, you can eat on that for like 3 times a day. So one meal, yeah, I was doing it.
Wow.
You had to. It was just something.
Yeah.
I had to do what I had to do, and I didn't want to harp on that, But yeah, it was pretty bad at times, but it wasn't the worst.
Yeah.
It was something that I couldn't live through, obviously. So yeah.
Yeah, your resiliency is really, admirable. So we just have a couple of more minutes, and I wanted to ask you, what advice would you give, a Black woman who is looking to perhaps get her doctorate? What's some of the things that she needs to be looking at in order for her to accomplish that goal?
She needs to do her homework.
Yeah.
She needs to ask questions and get support. and realize that she's not an island and she doesn't have to be. Because a lot of that time, I had great connection as far as relationships that I was building with people. And don't close yourself off, even though it is tough. Shut down.
Yeah.
Regulate your mood. Regulate. You know, it's going to be tough. You're going to be sad. You're going to be maybe depressed, angry, you know, but admit it, talk about it, work through it. And I'm not saying get over it, right? I don't want to even be careful. I want to be careful to not say that. It's not about getting over anything. It's about going through it so you don't have to come back around. I come back around a few times, right? And so that's why sometimes I was like, am I late? You know, and, you know, when I looked at everyone else, kind of not everyone, but certain others in my cohort, they were younger than me. And there was one other person that was older, and her and I really hit it off. And there was one other person, but really age was out the door. So really build relationships too. Build relationships. And work it out. Work it out.
Yeah, that's good. That's good advice. And of course, so the last question I always ask people is, you know, what is your favorite quote? And why is it your favorite quote? And how has it sort of helped you through your life?
I'll tell you. Okay. Because I did tell you already, I had several.
You have many. We could do two quotes.
I'll tell you two because it's two that really carry
with you. Yeah.
Right. So the one of them is it's Paulo Freire, and
yes.
I'm saying his name wrong.
No, but I yes.
It's French. It's not even French, but it looked, you know. So I think Portuguese. I don't know the words because it's from a book that was also, but it was written by Bell Hooks. So she did a whole slot of educational books. So from him, what he shared was it is imperative that we maintain hope when even the harshness of reality may suggest the opposite. And that was something that Bell Hooks quoted in her book called Teaching Community. And it was a whole line of books of how to incorporate social justice education in the curriculum. And I've been reading that book for a while. That was in 2003. Yeah. That wasn't new. Being an educator is not something that I just take lightly. I don't want to be a teacher. I want to be an educator, right? In education. So I want to be there in more of a complex way. And then the second one is Martin Luther King, and it was it's one of his stride for freedom back in 1958, and it's history will have to record that the greatest tragedy of this period of social transition was not of the strident clamor or of the bad people, but the appalling silence of the good people, right? And so I don't want to be silent, and I had to grow into that because I am a quiet person. More introverted, but I do have an extroverted side too when it's work. Yeah. When it's time to like create, build, and move within that, right? But I have to have those two worlds of mine meet. And so between that, I was like, I can't be quiet on this. There's more, and I could put away my shyness and maybe a little bit of the anxiety. I didn't call anything anxiety. This was just, I'm afraid. Anxiety is something that we all have. Yeah. So what is it? How is it going to be used, right? But anyway, I was just like, I can't do that. There's something that is greater in me that is needed out there, right? And it's not silence.
Yes. Yes. Dr. Hughes, you always warm my heart. Always, always, always. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Those two quotes alone, I think, I mean, people listening to this will latch on to at least those quotes and say yes, you know, particularly the Martin Luther King quote. It's just like, you can't be silent. No, not when things are going bad. And we've had so many examples in the last administration, and I do not want to say the name of that person. But during that administration, you know, we had a lot of good people who were not saying anything, you know.
Right.
So it's really important for us to remember these things when
Sure.
when things are not going so well, you know.
Yeah, because you still have a charge on you, regardless
Yeah.
of who's in office. I don't care if it's this side or that side, because this side and that side have a lot of the same people anyway. You gotta realize that my bills are the same, you know, and my work still needs me. And, you know, and the people that I'm serving, and advocacy is still a point that we need to make in our actions.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Hughes. You are brilliant and wonderful and special, and I think you're the dopest thing ever.
Oh,
So much. I wish you
yeah.
the best of luck. And you have a new appointment, right? You're now,
Yeah,
you
yeah. Oh, yeah. I
yes,
got all this stuff. I'm sorry.
okay. You have a new appointment.
I know I'm president-elect of NARACES, so the
Yes.
yeah, council
Wonderful.
educators. Yeah, so that's gonna be nice. That's it's gonna be nice. It's a year, it's a several years of first, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
this first that, you know,
Yeah.
for NJCA, I think I'm the first African American woman
Yeah.
on NARACES, I believe.
Yeah.
But you know what? It is, I don't even care about that first stuff. I just want to get in there and serve and make a difference and bring something to the table and make room, right? Not just me, I'm bringing folks with me, and I'm talking to the people that are already there, because it's good stuff that's been going on in every entity that we're getting into, right? And so I don't want to negate that at all, you know.
Amen.
So do it.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Congratulations for that. And also you have a couple of things that you're doing. You have a couple of private practices, right?
I work for one where I'm a clinical director, so that's not mine.
Okay.
Andy, but we do.
You have trainings, right? You have a training.
Yeah. So my two businesses, I have Counsel CESD LLC, and that's Counselor Education Supervision and Development. So I'm an ACEP provider, right? So NBC has approved my business as a, you know, small, I don't like to say minority, but it's a small minority owned business, right? I'm a provider of CEs, and all the workshops, trainings, and lectures that I do have an undercurrent of a multicultural and social justice lens to it. Whether it be research and appraisal, there's still a need for multicultural lens in there and justice. So either of the areas, career work, identity. So I just started a nonprofit within the last 3 or 4 months. So it's Hughes Integrative Wellness.
Yeah. Oh. So, you're amazing. You're amazing. Of course you did. In the middle of the pandemic. Of course you did something. Yes, of course.
But I want to provide zero to low cost mental wellness services. So they're integrated in a sense where it's just not behavior and diagnosing, but it's financial work, environmental work, every area of your life that you're functioning within, according to an 8-dimensional model of wellness. And then quality of life is my overall goal. Like, I want to help people to improve their quality of life wherever they are. And then addressing racial trauma, you know, all of it. And you don't have to be a person of color to experience it, but you know, there's some people out there that have been racist, and then they are just now realizing it. I want to be able to help them through that too.
Yeah, that's awesome. So what I'll do is I'll put the links of all your businesses and like down when we put it on YouTube. Okay.
Oh, thanks.
So again, thank you so much. You've been wonderful. This has been a fantastic interview. And thank you so much for your time. I mean, you're
welcome.
You're always busy, and just
you're fine with me. New Jersey, you know, and that was a journey for you. I know that day.
No, that was but it was worth it though. It was worth it.
Yeah.
It was worth it. Yeah, it was worth it.
Well, I appreciate it. You know what? And this is just what we do. We have to support one another.
Absolutely.
Not close off and do the best we can with what we have.
Absolutely. So that note, thank you so much. Okay.
All right. Take care. Talk to you soon.
You too.
All right.